יומם השמש לא יככה וירח בלילה. אדוני ישמורך מכל רע, ישמור את נפשך. ישמור צאתך ובואך מעתה We begin with the words of Psalm 121, because as we bid goodbye to Judi today, what other words could we use than words that evoke the mountains, which were so much the anchor of her life? And so we say, I lift my eyes to the mountains, from where will my help come? My help comes from Adonai, creator of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way, your guardian will not slumber. See, the guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. Adonai is your guardian, your protection at your right hand. By day the sun will not strike you, nor the moon by night. Adonai will guard you from all harm, and Adonai will guard your life, your going and your coming, now and forever.
Welcome. We're really grateful that you're here with us this morning as we say goodbye to Judith Ellen Wolf, a name that probably was not used very often, as you might see. We probably spent more time calling her Judi or Red, the Red Wolf. Never, I understand, never Grandma. No. And so we have this responsibility today, not just to say goodbye to her and to bid her farewell, but also to think about her life and the legacy that she leaves us today. I am Rabbi Emily Hyatt.
Rabbi Elizabeth Sachs.
We're grateful to be joined by Rabbi Foster and Ken Mervine, our accompanist today, as we take this responsibility seriously. And so there are several parts of a Jewish funeral for those for whom this might be your first. The first thing that we do is to prepare ourselves for the hard work of saying goodbye. We do that through the use of our beautiful liturgy, through psalms and songs and prayers and poems and pieces of our tradition and other traditions that move us. The second thing that we do is to tell the story of Judi's life, to make sure that we understand just the beginning of the impact that she had on us, as we can't tell that story until we know how it ends, which we finally do this week. And the third thing that we'll do is to say goodbye to Judi's physical presence here with us between here and our burial at the cemetery. And so we begin just with a little bit of a framework for this moment. And as we think about what are the Psalms, those that talk about the mountains, those that talk about music, or that talk about beauty, we also think about what are the poems or the pieces of tradition that might help us. And we actually turn outside of Jewish tradition to the story that is told that I really love about Michelangelo. And in this story, we tell of Michelangelo's death, actually, that he was nearing his death and that his family and his students, that everyone knew that it was coming. And tradition talks about Michelangelo as a man who had 4 souls because he excelled in many different things, in architecture, in sculpture, in painting, and in poetry. And it was that skill and vision that had produced so many of the city's most beautiful buildings and statues in Rome. And at the end of his life, when he was moments from the end, those friends and students gathered at his bedside, and they were bereft at the idea of a world without him. Bereft. And they cried out in their worry, Michelangelo, how will Rome ever get along without you? And with a weak wave of his hand, Michelangelo gestured toward the open window next to his bed and the entire city beyond, a city that was filled with his creation, with his genius. And he said, Rome will never be without me. And I think that is so true today for Judi, a woman who bestowed upon us for decades a love of art and culture and theater and learning and of family. A woman who had maybe more than 4 souls with all of her gifts and all of the things that she had to contribute, but has left deep and rich legacy, not just in our community, in our performing arts centers, but in the people she leaves behind who no doubt understand quite well the things that she found most important and will continue to live her legacy.
And so we turn back to words from our tradition, to a psalm that we use so frequently when someone we love passes away, to the words of Psalm 23. And I know that for all of you, family who are sitting here, these words were used so very recently. And that is part of what we do when we carry on the legacies of our loved ones. Because we know that even as we say these words of comfort, we are still missing Victor. We know that as we say these words of comfort, we are thinking about Marvin. And we know that as we say these words of comfort, that now we will be thinking about Judi and her soul and her legacy and how each of you worked so hard to make sure that she was at peace up until the very end. And now you know she can be because you have brought that to her. And I hope that these words then serve not only as comfort for what we hope is happening for her and her soul, but also for all of you, to remind you that you will walk through this valley of death together, all of you, hand in hand, and make sure that you come into green pastures. The words of Psalm 23. Adonai roe lo echsor bino deshe yarbitzeini al mei menuchot yenaleni nafshi yeshovev yancheni v'maglei tzedek yancheni Kielach begit zamavet no irora ki atai madi shiftacha umishantecha hema Ta'aroch lefanai, shulchan neged tzorai, dishonta v'shemen roshi kosi revaya. Ach tov v'chesed yudefuni kol yemei chayai, kol yemei chayai, v'shavti bevir Adonai leyorech yamim. Adonai roi lo echsar. Adonai roi lo echsar. Adonai is my shepherd, I shall not want. God makes me lie down in green pastures, leads me beside still waters, and restores my soul. You lead me in right paths for the sake of your name, and even when I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You have set a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely, goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of God forever.
As we think about all of the words that are shared today, all of the words of our tradition and the words of funeral liturgy, we know that sometimes what we really need is our own words in a moment of memory. Ehud Manor, a 20th century poet in Israel, wrote a poem about prayer, and he says that every word whispered or sung, every word shattered in a storm is a prayer. Every word that the heart cries and sighs to a distant home or forgotten dream in any language is a prayer. Maybe God above doesn't hear at all what our mouths utter, but prayer to God changes the prayer. It's a prayer that extends all the way. It's a prayer that speaks and does. It's a prayer I say to myself for my well-being or my loved ones, and I will carry it to my journey's end. There is a prayer that opens the morning and a prayer that closes the day, a prayer for light, a prayer for warmth, and a prayer for peace. And so we take this moment now, just a moment, for our own prayers, our own thoughts, our own memories, and we pray in silence.
As we stand here on the pulpit today, awash in the fragrance of these beautiful flowers, and looking out into this congregation, which is just a little bit more colorful than usually we are when we bid someone goodbye, we think about the way that Judi always showed up with color and grace and strength and surety. There aren't so many people who would even have me contemplating wearing these earrings to a funeral at Temple Emmanuel. But I had the opportunity to have a longer relationship with Judi, and I talked about a number of things with her. We bonded over our ballet beginnings. We bonded over what it meant to walk into a place that breathed drama, but also great humility and great profundity, and to know what that meant to combine those two things. And I have to say that today, I can't think of a more fitting tribute than to sing these words of vision and color, of what it might mean to imagine something that doesn't yet exist, something that you only have heard whispered in a dream. And so, Judi, for you, today, we sing about what might be over the rainbow. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. That you dare to dream really do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me, somewhere over the rainbow. Bluebirds fly, birds fly over the rainbow. Why then, oh why can't I? If happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow, why, oh why can't
With those words in our hearts, we turn now to some of your words, the words of the loved ones of Judi who are going to help us to tell the story of her life. We have a teaching and there's a poem that talks about how when you look at the entirety of someone's life, it seems kind of wild, because it's not until they die that we see a date of death and a date of birth next to each other. And in between, there is often this tiny little dash that separates the two. And so it is on a particular day that a person was born, and then there's this little dash. And then it is on a particular day that a person dies. And it turns out that sometimes there are decades and decades and decades of life that get lived in that tiny little dash. And so today we are honored to hear about what is between those two dates. What is the story of Judi's life? We're going to hear from several people. I'm going to tell you who's going to come talk, and then when it's your turn, you'll just come right on up here. We're going to hear first from Janice Sinden, who is the CEO of the Denver Center for Performing Arts. And then we will hear from the four grandchildren of Judi: Grant, Devin, Logan, and Caleb. They'll come and share some words, and then Lance, and then Marco, and of course Rabbi Foster will share some words. And so Janice, I invite you to help us begin.
Let's set the stage. It's opening night in the Buell Theater. 2,800 people are taking their seats to see the next big Broadway hit. And then it happens. Heads swivel, crowds part, whispers of who is that? Enter Judi Wolf, stage right. Opening night after opening night, the same reaction occurs, always for Judi and for Judi alone. Oh, she knew how to make an entrance all right. Poised, head raised, a generous smile, and that hair, long, red, vibrant, which just about sums up Judi Wolf, the long-standing cultural philanthropist who friends called the Red Wolf, could command a crowd with her sultry laugh, smiling eyes, and flair for fashion. And while she may have dressed up in glitter, her heart was pure gold. A Denver native, Judi was exposed to ballet and classical music from an early age. She graduated from East High School in 1959 and attended the University of California-Berkeley, Boston University, and the Universidad de las Américas in Mexico City, and earned her bachelor's degree in Spanish. She went on to secure her master's degree in international relations from the University of Denver, while pursuing a career in Spanish language teacher at Graland Country Day School, an indication of her ability to pursue multiple goals at once. Little did she know that when she met oil man Marvin Wolf early in her career in the 1970s, that they would eventually marry in the early 1980s and pursue a relationship that would benefit the entire city. From the very beginning of their relationship, Marvin and Judi were devoted patrons of the arts in Colorado. Their support ranged from the Colorado Ballet to the Central City Opera to the collaboration with Barry Fay to save the Colorado Symphony. But it was in 1991 that their love and support for the Denver Center for the Performing Arts moved from the wings to the spotlight, with Judi center stage. Not satisfied with patronage alone, Judi and DCPA founder Donald Soule began an enduring friendship, and soon, Donald asked Judi to join his advisory chairman's council. Soon after, she was elected as an ex officio member of the DCPA's Board of Trustees in 2003, and 4 years later, she was elected to the DCPA's Helen G. Bonfils Foundation, at which time she also became a full voting member of the DCPA board. Judi served on the DCPA Board of Trustees for 17 years, but her legacy will live on for generations. And she is fond of quoting, "There's no business like show business," and her enthusiastic involvement in Denver's cultural scene has been her favorite production. Here are just a few of her leading roles that have shaped the Denver Center and Colorado's cultural landscape. Judi and Marvin committed and love for our city, the arts, and the DCPA started right away. In the 1980s, they joined the Denver Center Theater Company's Director Society, and Judi joined the Denver Center Alliance as a lifetime member, a philanthropic group of individuals who serve as ambassadors and fundraisers for the DCPA. In 1991, the city of Denver opened the Temple Hoyne Buell Theater as Denver's home for Broadway shows. At that time, the couple endowed the Marvin and Judi Wolf room on the mezzanine level of the Buell as a reception space. The room was painted to resemble the view from their La Jolla home in California, and if you look closely enough, you'll find an Easter egg in the form of what else? A wolf. After the Buell opened to rave reviews, Marvin and Judi suggested to Donald that the Denver Center should launch a philanthropic membership for patrons with a love of the best touring shows direct from New York. They held an intimate poolside party at their home to recommend the opening night subscription package to their friends, and the Best of Broadway Society was born. It proved to be so popular that ultimately a second night was added. Thanks, Mark. And this group continues on to this day. As an ex officio member of the DCPA Board of Trustees, when the DCPA had an opportunity to expand its theater education programs and enhance the National Center for Voice and Speech to assist performers with vocal problems, Judi was thrilled to contribute toward the project, adding the Marvin and Judi Wolf Museum of the Voice. But the moments that really catapulted Judi into the spotlight were the DCPA's See and Be Seen events. She came dressed as Glinda the Good Witch at the Wicked Gala, in a toga for Tantalus, in a flamenco dress for American Mariachi, and hands down the most memorable as a mermaid for the world premiere of Disney's The Little Mermaid, complete with a trail of bubbles. Judi's impact continued, and in 2005, when she became a founding member of the Women's Voices Fund, a first-in-the-nation endowment to foster the work of female playwrights and directors, which to date has provided support for 53 plays written by women and 45 plays directed by women. In the same year, the Denver Center kicked off one of its most popular fundraising events, and again, Judi was literally center stage. The Women with Attitude Luncheon, a benefit for the Women's Voices Fund, features a spontaneous fashion show whereby an individual from each table is selected to strut the runway and show off their best chapeau. Judi's fashion sense was on full display and later nabbed her a spot as a judge in the fun-filled competition. Not only did she serve as a judge, but her personal collection of hats rivals just about anyone on the planet. In fact, she had an entire room in her home dedicated to her beautiful costumes and hats, which she wore on countless occasions over the years. Judi and Donald Sewell, in partnership with then state historian Tom Noel and Amy Zimmer, authored and published the infamous coffee table book called What Else? Showtime, about the Denver Performing Arts, Convention Center, and the Theater District. In the opening letter to the reader, they wrote, "The responsibility to bring culture and entertainment to as broad an audience as possible is one source of our continually evolving landscape. Because of its rich foundation and the exciting achievements of the city's luminaries, you will recognize that the most interesting and exciting chapters of Denver Showtime history may yet to be written. Hard work, a pioneering spirit, and the courage to push the boundaries has set the stage for future acts that will thrill and delight. Nothing could be truer today." Judi's flair and love of costumes was again on display at the DCPA's Theater Threads costume fashion show. Not only did she appear as the grand finale in a gold sequin costume from the Denver Center Theater Company's 2008 production of Richard III, but it also announced that she had made a significant contribution to the costume department because, according to her, without a costume, A play is just radio. This ongoing contribution continues today and is celebrated in a pre-show display called Judi Wolf's Costume Column, which provides insight into the design and process of each production's costume. She later shared that it was a fine idea to become the DCPA's costume department's fairy godmother. What fun. Feeling a kinship with another spunky Colorado legend, Judi and Marvin signed on as the sponsor of the Denver Center Theater Company's The Unsinkable Molly Brown in 2015. Both married for love, both did important philanthropic work, both were born with grit and determination, and both left a lasting mark on the Denver community. That same year, her beloved friend Donald Sewell died at the age of 103. Donald set out to create what he called the finest arts complex in the world, with more than 10,500 seats in 10 venues, and his home is home to the Colorado Ballet, Opera Colorado, Colorado Symphony, and of course, the Denver Center for the Performing Arts. This past year, the DCPA proudly engaged nearly 1 million patrons, students, and guests with an annual operating budget of just under $100 million. In 2018, the DCPA was underway with its most ambitious project in its facility master plan, renovations of the space, stage, and Ricketson Theater, and an overhaul of the backstage and administrative office spaces. The Wolfs, once again, were ready to lend a hand, this time with the largest single gift in the DCPA's history. Their lead gift inspired trustees, patrons, and community members to contribute the needed $17 million for the grander opening capital campaign, which totaled over $40 million, thanks to bond funding from the city. In gratitude for this generous gift, the former Stage Theater was named the Marvin and Judi Wolf Theater. DCPA founder and our good friend Donald Sewell had a vision, which was to create theater for the community, where dreams were realized and imagination soared, Judi said. We are proud to continue his legacy and ensure that his crown jewel is enjoyed for generations to come. While clearly Judi's relationship with the DCPA has been considerable, it's by no means exclusive. Over the years, she appeared as the fairy godmother in Cinderella with the Colorado Ballet, recited poetry during a concert with the Colorado Symphony, and even conducted the National Repertory Orchestra in the Toreador Song from Carmen. She served on the boards of the Central City Opera, University of Denver Humanities Institute, American National Theater and Academy, and Colorado Council on the Arts. She co-chaired the Colorado Performing Arts Festival twice and was honored in 2012 as the Citizen of the Arts by the Fine Arts Foundation. But beyond the arts, backstage, if you will, she was always sincere, appreciative, and warm. Whether she took a moment to speak Spanish with a staff member, make a phone call to share her overwhelming praise for simply doing your job, or greeting you effusively like you were her best friend, she always made you feel welcome and important, seen and heard. After the passing of her beloved husband Marvin in March of 2020, Judi, with the love and support of her 3 sons, Lance, Victor, and Marco, grandsons Grant, Devin, Logan, and Caleb, and daughters in love, she quietly assumed more of a supporting role, content to watch a new generation of DCPA leaders continue the hard work she started. Her incredible presence will never be replaced or forgotten. She is and will always be Denver's leading lady. We love you, Judi Wolf, and we promise the show will go on.
Good afternoon. We are Red's 4 grandsons. My name is Caleb. This is Logan, Devin, and Grant. Today, as a demonstration of our connection to Red and to each other, we want to share with you all a poem that resonates with us at this time. This is When Great Trees Fall by the great Maya Angelou. When great trees fall, rocks on distant hills shudder. Lions hunker down in tall grasses, and even elephants lumber after safety. When great trees fall in forests, small things recoil into silence, their senses eroded beyond fear.
When great souls die, the air around us becomes light, rare, sterile. We breathe briefly, see with a hurtful clarity. Our memory suddenly sharpens, examines, gnaws on kind words unsaid. Promised walks never taken.
Great souls die, and our reality, bound to them, takes leave of us. Our souls, dependent on their nurture, now shrink, wizened. Our minds, formed and informed by their radiance, fall away. We are not so much maddened as reduced to the unutterable ignorance of dark, cold caves.
And when great souls die, after a period, peace blooms, slowly and always irregularly. Spaces fill with a kind of soothing electric vibration. Our senses restored, never to be the same, whisper to us. They existed. They existed. We can be and be better, for they existed. The 4 of us are forever grateful to have had Red in our lives. We each cherish our individual and collective memories and experiences with her so deeply. We will all miss Red's love, laughter, care, and spirit. All 4 of us are honored to carry on her legacy and go forth into the world making her proud. We love you, Red.
All of you may have known her as Red, but to me, she was simply Mom. Just last week, I saw a beautiful Mexican glass vase that sits in one of the guest rooms at our house. And I recalled the story in which it was just me, my mother and father back in Mexico City at the time. I was only 2 years old, and I had broken one of the glass pieces in the store. To this day, I recall her tender way with me and how she cooed at me and calmed me, removing me from that disaster. That is the same way she made each and every one of her students feel at Graland Country Day School. She would walk through the rows of the classroom, paying great attention to each individual student, making them feel as if they were the only one in the room. Her grace and tenderness were some of her best characteristics. I recall luxuriating in her full attention before the arrival of my 2 younger brothers, Victor and Marco. And it is with great sadness that I have returned to this bima so quickly after the loss of my brother Victor. I know that he has received her with open arms and the warmest hug, like she used to give us. I am also secure knowing that she is back in the arms of her greatest love, Marvin, who treated me like one of his own all of those years. I am grateful for his generous spirit, as I'm sure many of you are as well. Judi was known as the Red Wolf with great glory. Her love for education and theater combined into deep charitable acts and exposure to the arts for future generations. I can only speak to the love and attention we felt from her behind the scenes, where she was a loving, caring mother, a fabulous grandmother, and a mother to her daughters in love. My mother imprinted me and the world with her ethos of empathy and optimism. She taught me to love books, architecture, trees, cats, and Broadway show tunes. She was an advocate for the arts of all types, but also an artist and painter in her own right. I cannot even explain the void I feel now with her departure. I recognize that she is at peace, and eventually we will be too. Her playfulness and great humor were renowned. Her flair for the neoclassical graces our family homes. And quite simply, her legacy in Denver is forever imprinted. Not only was she your grande dame, but to me, she was the first woman I ever loved. She taught me how to be an excellent student, how to maintain a strong work ethic, and how to laugh at life. Even planning this event, all I could imagine were the bubbles and the flowers. There are far too many stories to share them all, but I know she was truly proud of us and her Cheyette boys. I have so much respect for her completing her master's degree, all while raising us and working. She was a heroine of women's rights way before feminism was even a movement. A true Colorado lady, daughter of a plumber, granddaughter of immigrants, and patron mother to our local arts. Mom, I love you, and you will always have a piece of my heart.
The afterglow. I'd like the memory of me to be a happy one. I'd like to leave an afterglow of smiles when life is done. I'd like to leave an echo whispering softly down the ways of happy times and laughing times and bright and sunny days. I'd like the tears of those who grieve to dry before the sun, of happy memories that I leave when life is done. Good afternoon. My name is Marco. I'm Judy's youngest son. I've never been so sad, but also so at peace. And you're probably going to get a few more poems. Thank you to Janice, my son, my nephews, and my brothers for all you said. Thank you for framing so beautifully the next hour of my eulogy for Mom. And it'll be forever on YouTube as well. I'm overwhelmed at the outpouring of love and support from all of you here in attendance and online from literally around the world. There are so many who could not be with us here today and are here with us in spirit. You have all been incredibly supportive of me and our whole family since Judy's passing last week.
on a level that I don't think I can articulate properly, the gratitude and comfort our family is feeling after losing our matriarch, our glue, our engine. And as my brother Lance mentioned, I also didn't think I would be back up here so soon after our brother Victor tragically passed away just a few months ago. So please bear with me as I try to get through my words today for my mom. It's a tough one. And as long as these remarks are going to be, with my apologies to the rabbis, there will never be enough time or words that can capture the depth of what I'm feeling today. That being said, my mom knew today would be particularly traumatic for her baby. And I'm so thankful that given our incredible closeness over our entire life, that she tenderly talked about all of life's passages with me in great detail, including about today, my final goodbye to her. Now, Mom was very clear today should be fabulous. I'm still not sure there's enough flowers. And for those of you online, there's a lot of flowers. But more importantly, what we talked about, what she wanted, was that some of her thoughts would come through my remarks, and that my remembrance today should, of course, be steeped in the color of red, if you will, but also in her other colors of love, passion, and compassion. Of course, for her, but equally as important for all of us here and everywhere else who is honoring Judi in their way, and for the loss that we are all feeling cumulatively. Whether your time with my mother started 50, 60 years ago, recently, or somewhere in between, one thing unifies all of us, and that is the profound loss of my mother not being with all of us anymore. So as kind as all of you have been to our family for years, and as I look around this beautiful sanctuary, which holds so much meaning to our family, as I said just a few months ago, over 4 generations through celebrations, prayers, fellowship, remembrances. And I see and feel the wide range of friends, family, and colleagues who are here today for Judi. Let us extend our condolences to all of you and acknowledge our mutual pain today as we say goodbye and recognize that we all have one heavy and shared heart, as my mom's passing has left a void in all our lives and this community we all love so much. And as you've heard, a space that only her unique presence could fill. I want you to know that I've been overwhelmed and even surprised at the magnitude of posts, comments, emails, texts, phone calls about what my mother meant to so many people. There are so many to digest, and our family are so thankful to have a record of this forever. Here are just a few of the contacts we have received I would like to share that frames the global feelings for my mother so well. And in some of your words, from a dear friend, on Wednesday, the Denver community lost a powerful, generous, and tireless advocate, the Red Wolf, Judi Wolf. Judi was a true friend to me and such a joy in my life. Her passing brings me great angst and sadness. We knew each other for decades, having connected over mutually loved interests, quirky personalities, and a shared appreciation for fine and beautiful things. Oh, the stories I could tell. But discretion, as they say, is the better part of valor. So these anecdotes will remain silent in my heart. My truest sadness comes from not being able to connect with her over the last few years of her life, as her dementia isolated her from the world and the friends that she loved. Such cruelty for a brain to lock away the light of a brilliant personality who thrived on personal connection and flourished from attention. So many joyful remembrances flood my brain, My tears are of sadness, but also from the relief that she's been released to find the spirit of her beloved Marvin. I love you, Judi. There's no one who will ever fill your Cinderella slippers. And from a former student, and there were well over 1,000 comments, but from one former student that were so important to her. My heart is breaking again. Senora Chayette gave me something I can't even describe. Like any modicum of confidence to be at Graland and then Kent, I still have my Excellence in Spanish award she gave me at our 9th grade graduation from Graland. I believe this was from 1974. She let me know she knew what it was like to be different and that we were fabulous no matter what. And one more from Judy's close friend, Senator Hickenlooper, who couldn't be with us today. I share with his blessing a personal note. Marco, I'm so sorry. I have no doubt she's in a better place, cavorting wherever heaven is, switching gowns and costumes, event by event. When I was a nobody, she took me under her wing, inviting me to dinners above my grade, asking my advice when she didn't need it, introducing me to someone interesting or useful. In a funny way, we were both outsiders. She was one of the first people I talked to about running for mayor, and her immediate enthusiasm gave me courage when it was somewhat lacking. I love the DCPA Obituary. Captured so much, almost everything, but not those eyes and the intensity she listened with. She made everyone think they were the most charming person in the room. And we weren't. She was. She was truly a force of nature, but always a force of good. I will be with you all in spirit. We were all blessed to know Judi. So trying to sit down and write this kind of eulogy for my mother over the past few days has been quite a task for me, as you can imagine, to balance my feelings with some of my mother's wishes for today. Much like my mom, you can tell that I'm rarely at a loss for words or shy about public speaking, as my family has those same traits. And you can also see that we have taken a page from our mother's script, and we find inspiration in the words, lyrics, and art of others trying to convey how I'm feeling, how we are feeling. But before I can continue, I know that some of you, well, a lot of you, have not seen my mother for some time. Please know that her love for all of you and our community never went away, even in her final act. And to that point, some words about her final act are important to me and to Judi to convey to you, to all of you. Judi, like her mother before her, developed dementia of the Alzheimer's type. Dementia is an awful disease. It doesn't just steal memories, it slowly steals moments, words, confidence, and part of a person's independence. It asks families and friends to grieve in stages long before we said goodbye to Mom last Wednesday. But it never took Judi's kindness. It never took her love. And it never took who she was at her core. It is important for so many of you to know that Judi was very purposeful in planning this stage of her life and very adamant about how she wanted it to unfold. We talked about it for years before this happened. After all, she was so proud of me being an elder law attorney in this community after being inspired by my grandmother's journey, her mother Letty, through her Alzheimer's journey. In some ways, it feels like so long ago, but from the day her beloved husband, Marvin, passed 2 days into COVID on March 15th, 2020, she was in her beautiful home surrounded by her family and loving caretakers every single day for 6 years. This last act that Mom faced, as many of you and your loved ones will, was fortunately full of grace and tenderness and unwavering commitment to keep our mother, your red wolf, thriving, until she passed away peacefully, surrounded by her family at the end, literally with a smile on her face. Our family will be forever grateful to the care and compassion by her trusted and much-loved team, Kyle, Chris, Sarah, Esther, Irma, Elizabeth, Jill, Aggie, and Dr. Rick Abrams. Thank you for all that you did for Mom. We are forever grateful that you were the producers for her final act, and you kept the screenplay intact until her final bow. And now, speaking as her son, and very personally, it's poem time again, Mom. We know how much my mom loved it. I quote from, purposely, "My mother kept a garden. My mother kept a garden of the heart. She planted all of the good things that gave my life its start. She turned me to the sunshine and encouraged me to dream, fostering and nurturing the seeds of self-esteem. And when the winds and rains came, she protected me enough, but not too much. She knew I'd need to stand up strong and tough. Her constant good example always taught me right from wrong, make markers for my pathway to last my whole life long. I am my mother's garden. I am her legacy. And I hope today she feels the love reflected back from me." While Judi, my sweet, loving mother, is no longer physically with us, her spirit, her laughter, and the lessons she taught us all remain. Mom, I love you. I will miss you more than words can say. Miss you every day. Thank you for everything you were to me and to all of us. While your absence leaves a hole in our hearts, your legacy of kindness, love, strength, and compassion will continue to inspire me and all of us. And I leave you all with this poem, as requested by Mom, and is entitled Judi Wolf. Written by Judi Wolf. An open book is my life in this town. An offer to perform I've never turned down. My kids number 10, each fill me with joys. 3 daughters in love and 7 boys. A casual night out would be ballroom attire. A gray-haired man sets my heart on fire. The big good wolf built me a palace, lovelier even than your Wonderland, Alice. The cultural arts are dear to my heart. In our fair city, I've played a part. Here I danced with the Colorado Ballet and served on the board of the DCPA. It should come as no surprise to you, I'm a patron of the opera too. I've listened to many a ditty, from La Jolla to Denver to Central City. Many of you know what I've done in the past. So many memories that will always last. You each have a story that hopefully shows how the best of times, my friends, is now. Thank you. And Mom, I didn't need my glasses. Was it more than 20?
It's good your mom had a good sense of humor as well. Eloheinu Elohe Avotenu, our God and God of all generations, thou who governest all things with infinite wisdom and mercy, and who guidest the destinies of all of humankind. As a parent have you loved us and showered your blessings upon us. Therefore we shall not murmur even when sorrow befalls us, but with humility and unfaltering trust we shall accept your decrees. In joy and in sorrow alike we praise your goodness and acknowledge your justice. We remember that we are but strangers upon earth. Like a shadow our life flees away. Help us, O God, so to walk in your sight, that when the few years of our earthly pilgrimage are ended, we may be ready to meet our end with tranquil mind. To thee we look for comfort and strength. When one of our beloved is taken from us and a link is broken in the chain of love which binds us together. Though we walk in the valley of the shadow of death, we shall fear no evil, for you are with us. Be praised, O eternal our God, in all your dispensations. And sanctified be your name, now and forevermore. And let us all say together, Amen. Beloved family, dear friends, I'm well aware of what time it is. I'm well aware that you have been sitting for a long time. I remember the last time we went through something like this, I told everybody to get up, give a little massage to the person next to them, turn around and make sure. I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to speak that long. Because I know there are some of you out there who are going to go like this anyway. But please give me just a few minutes to add to these very, very beautiful eulogies that have been shared. Not only the love that people have for Judi, but, that's a pretty good way to end, But before I continue with the words that I had prepared, I do have to tell you I'm very, very concerned at this moment about the red. I'll tell you why. I also live with my beloved Joyce. And every time I've gone in the last few years to put on a red tie, she has said, absolutely not. I haven't worn a red tie in a long, long time. When I walked in here today, I was surprised. I thought that the roses would be blue roses because that's who she is. She's not a red person. She's a red person in terms of all this stuff. But in terms of who she was in her heart, she cared about people. And she was, at least for me, and I've known her a long, long time, she was a symbol of trying to make things better for everybody around her. And I think that's what blue stands for in this uncertain time in which we live. And so for me, I'll walk in here and I'll say, that word isn't red, the word is blue, and all of those roses are blue, and it was perfect for Judi. That's for me. These memories do cause us to understand her idea of celebration. And the truth is, when she walked into a place, she filled up a room, no matter where it was, when it was. And that was okay. I've been with this family a long time, and I asked Marco if it was all right that I mentioned I was at his bris. I did his bris. And we came here in 1970. My son Danny, who served as president of this congregation, and Marco are about the same age. I never understood why I was called upon to do the bris. I suppose Rabbi Stone might have been out of town. I don't know what the reason was, but I was privileged, and I have known this family ever since. And we're proud of you, and proud of Lance, and certainly we miss your brother. And this moment is a sad moment for this entire family because of it. But this would be a time for her to celebrate. Question is, what is our task here today? I know what the family's task is. I know what they thought it was. This is what they thought their task was, and that was to fulfill your mother's wish. That I understand. I understand, but listen, you did for your mother what she did for her mother. I remember long ago sitting with your mother in your grandmother's home. Your grandmother was in the hospital. And because of the circumstances of the time, we sat to make plans for your grandmother's funeral because it had to be done very, very quickly. She died in the morning. She was buried in the afternoon. Your mother was devoted to her family, just as she was devoted to you. She understood the fact that we as people, these families that we have, we really are immigrants in so many ways. She didn't forget that. She knew that her grandparents came from Eastern Europe, as so many of our grandparents did. She knew what it meant to be a second-generation American. First-generation Americans, her parents' job was to secure the freedom that her parents, their grandparents, came to find. And I have to tell you, I say this very often, people came here from Eastern Europe. We think that they came here because they thought life was going to be so much better. That isn't what it was about. They came here to escape the anti-Semitism of Eastern Europe. And yes, life got better, but that is not what drove them here. And what drove the next generations was to make sure that they secured that freedom and that justice for the next. And that's what she understood. And so that's what we come here, I think, to celebrate. Come here to celebrate somebody who understood the past, wasn't afraid of the past, wanted to make sure that the next generation would have it better. She didn't forget. And maybe that's why she was all of those things that you guys spoke about. And all those things for the DCPA and for this community in which we live and we're so proud of. It's because she had that personality that said, life can be better for the next generation. This is the way she did it. But it's what she did that was important. And I think that's what we're here to celebrate. Why are we all here? What's my job? My job is to contextualize all the things we heard today, not to give a biography. It's to contextualize it. And she would have loved me using that word. Yeah, that would have been super for her. She would have thought, boy, he got that one. So what's the context that we have to think about? The tasks that are yours as a family, to grieve for these losses, and not just Judi, not just this beautiful son that she lost, but also for Marvin in a way that we have to think about a little bit. Marvin died in the midst of COVID. We didn't do anything for Marvin. We didn't have a celebration or a funeral here at the temple, which we could not have had because of COVID. So in some ways, we have to think about Marvin on this day as well, because he was such an important part of her life. We have to think about the miracle of birth, which she thought about all the time, and the mystery of death. That's a task for you as family, and I guess for all of us. I don't know what's going to happen when I die. I say it all the time, and I'm not anxious to find out about it either. But the truth is, we all have different points of view, and we ought to respect those points of view. Judi would ask us to do that. And if there is something beyond this world, good. And if there's not, well, we've got this world that we've tried to make a little bit better by our presence. And she would have been okay with that too. Task is to remember who she was in terms of the context that each of us has or had with her. And they were many and varied, because she was such a varied kind of person. And lastly, and I say this especially to you, her grandchildren, you have a special responsibility today. And that's to make sure that you take those memories and you pass them on to the next generations, just as she did to you from the past, and just as you might and have to do in her name, sort of, for the future. That's what we're here for. And dear friends, I think we all have that responsibility because she was so special. We know that this time is very sacred. We know that we also understand that maybe death has come as a friend to her. It's a bittersweet time. Bitter because we've lost somebody great, and sweet because whatever suffering there might have been. And with dementia, we don't always know. At least that suffering is over. And I think she knew that she could be rest assured that you would do for her what she wanted. Because that's what you guys have learned from her. To do what the generations before us really wanted. Just want to take one more minute to share what I think are some of those wonderful ways in which she lived, wonderful ways in which we should pass them on. She was the teacher, and she loved the literacy of languages. She loved the softer sides of life, as represented by the DCPA and everything around there, and all of those wonderful ways in which culture is transmitted. She loved to be organized. She was protective of you, her children, and her grandchildren. Her home was open. She was an optimist. And she knew that this community could be a better place. She was also one who questioned authority a lot, whoever that authority was. And if you think I wasn't on the receiving end of that, sometimes you're wrong. She did understand what it meant. And when she said, and when you said she raised you all to be feminists, it wasn't just to be feminists. It was to be people who understood, and I say this in a positive way, please, what it meant to be a liberal in this world, to make sure that everybody gets included. That's who she was, and that's what she wanted. She was deeply committed to the values of her life, and she did try to transmit them to the next generation. She loved people, and she was a devoted daughter. Yes, she had a big personality. And I suppose all these flowers meant that they represent that big personality, as did the picture. Is that her picture up there? Oh, yeah, I remember her. But mostly, it was you that she was devoted to and cared about. And I can only hope and pray that each of you will find strength and courage in the beautiful memories that you have, and that you will pass them on. And also the memories of Marvin, because he was a good guy. I know exactly where they sat in this building. Back there. Lon, you're sitting in their seats. That's where they sat. And they were here often. And they cared about this place like they cared about everything else. I want to close by just sharing another poem. But I think it's one that she would have said, yeah, let's finish with that. It's called The Messenger. The poet wrote, I am closer than ever before. As the morning sun rises and throughout the busy day, I am with you. Until the setting sun disappears on the horizon, as we watch the day turn into night, I am here. You may feel a faint breeze stir around your head while you slumber, as I gently kiss your forehead goodnight. The stars that shine so brightly in my heavenly sky help me watch over you and keep you from harm. I am the wind in the trees and the song of a bird. I am moonbeams in a midnight sky and a glorious rainbow after the storm. I am red roses. I am morning dew and freshly fallen snow. I'm a butterfly flying overhead and a puppy happily at play. I am a smile on a stranger's face, a gentle touch, a warm embrace. Listen to the wind for my message of love. Watch the sun rise and set in the sky with me. Feel my essence encircle you with warm memories. Open your heart to know I am not gone. Reach deep into your soul. You'll find me. I am here. Have no fear. I am with you always. Adonai Natan v'Adonai Lakach. Yehi Shem Adonai Mevarach me'atav v'ad olam. God has given. God has taken away. Praise be the name of God now and forevermore. And let us all say together,
What a dash. What a story. What a beautiful bunch of words and tributes that do no justice to an incredible life, but do an incredible job of helping us to think about the vibrancy and the brilliancy of a legacy. I have one blessing for you before we conclude. You said to me yesterday, when talking about Judi's house, that it was wild, that it was big, it is big, that it's opulent, that it is full of all kinds of things that she had collected and wanted to be in there, and that even in its opulence, that house always felt like home. You said sometimes it felt like a fairy tale, or like Alice in Wonderland, and like you were going down the rabbit hole, or it was Camelot, and you said it was a fortress of safety and love. I can't think of a better way to describe Judi. A fortress of safety and love, of investment in the people that she loved. She made you feel safe every day. May you be for each other that fortress. May all of you build fortresses of love and safety in the world. We need them. May that be her legacy, that no matter what gifts we bring, We bring other people into them with us at every opportunity. And so with that, we turn to words of memory, words of prayer for her safety, for wherever she goes next. With the words of El Malei Rachamim, I invite you to rise as you are able.
El Malei Rachamim Shochen Bamromim Hamsei Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanfei Hashchina Im Kedoshim Odorim Kezohar Harakia Mazhirim Et Nishmat Esther bat Yehuda v'Elisheva shehalach le'olama b'al harachamim yostireya beseter kenafav le'olamim v'yitzror b'yitzror hachayim et nishmata Adonai unachalata v'tanuach b'shalom al mishkava v'nomar Amen.
God of abundant mercy, God most high, may the soul of our loved one who has gone into eternity find the gift of perfect peace in your embrace, together with the holy and pure whose light shines like the radiance of heaven. Compassionate God, hold Judith Ellen Wolf close to you forever so that her soul may be bound up in the bond of life eternal. May she find a home with you and may she rest in peace. And together we say, Amen. In just a few moments, we'll get instructions about what's going to happen next. I want to let everybody know that following burial, there will be Shiva, which is the greeting of friends and family after the service, that will be back here at Temple Emmanuel because of Passover and how soon that is coming. It was too much to do it anywhere else, so it's going to be here. And that will go from probably about 2:30 until 7 this evening. Anyone is welcome to stop by and actually speak to this beautiful family. You don't have to come right away. You can come at any point, go finish your workday, and come back. There will be a brief and much more informal service at 6, from about 6 to about 6:30. So those are the plans for Shiva for today. The same entrance on this side of the building. Jim.
Ladies and gentlemen, that does conclude the service here at Temple Emmanuel. We will have interment at Emmanuel Cemetery, and we do have an escorted procession. So if you'd like to join us at the cemetery for interment and in that procession, we'll ask you to return to your cars as quickly as possible and have your hazards on. That will help identify you as a participant in that procession. We will be using the southeast exit of the synagogue's parking lot. If you're not going in the procession, and even if you're not going to the cemetery, if we can ask you to please use the northeast exit of the synagogue's parking lot. We'll ask you to remain standing as we escort the family and the casket out. And then please, if we could ask you to allow the family to do what they need to do, if they run to the restroom, grab a coat, please hold back your condolences until after when you return back here so they can get on their way to the cemetery. If I can invite the pallbearers forward at this time.